Hello, I'm Ernie Humphrey, the CEO and founder of 360 Thought Leadership Consulting. Thank you to everyone for taking the time to join us for our webinar today, Mastering the Art of Effectively Networking at a Conference. I personally always enjoy a challenge, and networking with Treasury professionals is certainly challenging. And as we all know, the AFP annual conference is just around the corner. Today I'm going to share my top 10 tips in cracking that hard art of business shell on most Treasury professionals, how to get invited into the right Treasury clicks, and how to connect on a level that can be the foundation for a mutually beneficial relationship. Some of my motivation in putting this webinar together is that I have personally struggled at effectively networking at conferences, and as a Treasury professional, I have always struggled in finding job opportunities and managing my career effectively through my own professional development. So that has inspired me to partner with TreasuryJobs.com. And really, TreasuryJobs.com is all about connecting Treasury talent with the right opportunities and impacting the career success of Treasury professionals. I encourage you to check out TreasuryJobs.com and sign up in order to help effectively inform yourself of the job opportunities that are out there in the Treasury arena. They already service over 300 of the Fortune 1000 companies. They only focus on Treasury jobs. They offer complimentary webinars, one of which you're on right now. They offer a career Treasury blog, Treasury certification resources if you're looking at that CTP accreditation, and then I know there's plans to do even more. So I encourage you to check out TreasuryJobs.com. Just a few housekeeping items before we get into the heart of the presentation. The presentation is already available for download via the handouts area in your GoToWebinar control panel. I will be sending you a link to the webinar recording over the next 48 hours. And I'd like to hear from you, so any questions you have, please ask them via the questions area in your GoToWebinar control panel. So I'd like to take a few moments to go over our specific learning objectives and the agenda for today's webinar. I'd like to offer you a better understanding of how to define your ROI for attending a conference, how to set and reach specific goals that define the components of your personal ROI for attending a conference, how you can meet the people you want to meet at a conference, how you can make the conversations you want to have come to fruition, how to avoid time-wasting conversations, and how to have fun. And that's really the fuel that allows you to maximize your conference ROI. Let's take a step back for just a second. Why would you attend a conference? Did a little brainstorming, came up with the following: professional certification credits, obviously if you're a CTP credits. If you're a CPA, you want those CPE credits. So this is what I think is a great reason. You want to gain insights for an ongoing or upcoming project. You want to connect with your peers and vendors that can help you really deliver strategic value from a project. You want to stay on top of your game on what's going on in the world of Treasury. Also, this might be a factory. You might just want to get out of the office. You might just want to do some professional networking, and some of these really dovetail off each other, staying on top of your game. A big piece of that is professional networking. If you're on the vendor side, you would go for business development. You want to have client meetings, and some of us get into a rut. We always go to the same conference every year. I would argue that that's not really an issue with the AFP annual conference because I personally always find great value there. So you want to define the pillars of your ROI. So what are the dimensions and pillars? In terms of a practitioner side, when I'm going personally, I'll be there in Orlando. I'm looking for, I'd like to get some professional certification credits. Of course, I want to stay on top of my game, and I want to do some professional networking with my Treasury peers. Also have a few ancillary items in terms of business development and client meetings as well. So I've got many dimensions to mine, but you have to figure out what are the 3 to top 5 reasons you're going to the conference, and then define your ROI. I would better say to frame your ROI in those terms. So you could define it in the CPE/CTP credits earned. So how many credits am I going to earn? And I have to schedule accordingly. What are the number of targeted connections I want to make in terms of business cards, LinkedIn connections? I personally prefer LinkedIn connections, and sometimes I even make those LinkedIn connections at the tail end of a conversation. So I'll just tell the person, let me get my smartphone out here and I'm going to send you a LinkedIn connection just to make sure I get that connection made. That's a really solid way to make sure that that connection means something and that you have a good way to follow up. Sometimes business cards are lost, and then you have to make that LinkedIn request, and the person, hopefully they remember you from the conference, but it's best to do it on the spot. You might want to target a number of sessions to attend in a target topic area. So you might be looking at AP automation. So AP automation, I want to attend 5 sessions in that area. Plan to make that happen. On the business development side, you might want to look at number of new leads acquired, number of relationships, move down your sales funnel, and also the number of client issues resolved, avoided. I would couch that as business intelligence. So those are all ways to define the dimensions of your ROI, whether you're a practitioner or a vendor. And then how are you going to achieve the ROI? You got to have what I always like to call it a plan. What's my battle plan to achieve my objectives? First and foremost, you'll want to plan all of your time blocks each day you are there. So you want to really be meticulous in planning those time blocks. You want to set up as many networking meetings as possible before the conference, because people get really busy when you're there, and sometimes you can get yourself off track. You want to have those meetings nailed down. You want to set up 5 to 10 key meetings that you really want to make happen, and make sure you get those set up before you arrive. In my case, in Orlando, I want to make sure those are set up before I get on that airplane. You want to set goals for each day, and then important, you want to reprioritize those goals in the middle of each day. So if you're on track, boom, keep those the same. But if somehow you got off track, you need to get yourself back on track, and you might want to reprioritize the goals for each day and maybe move some goals you had for, let's say, Monday to Tuesday. Another important factor, own your time. Do not let people waste your time. You have to learn how to have some couth in getting out of conversations you might not want to have. A lot of times there's nonverbal signals. You might just glance down at your watch, break eye contact. You might actually have alerts on your phone, so that would be a good way to plan. At some point, you can just find a pause in the conversation, and then you can just let someone know that they have a client meeting, but always be polite when you're exiting the conversation. If you feel like you're exiting way too soon for them, what you can do, a polite thing to do, is just hand them your business card. So that's always a polite way to get out of a conversation. Now, I always say plan, 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 and this may seem like too much planning, but this really helps. So for those 5 to key 10 contacts, you want to plan how you're going to approach them, and exactly how and when you're going to make that happen. The best way, as I said before the conference, you want to have an elevator pitch for networking, whether it's with your peers or engaging potential clients. So you want to have that elevator pitch down. What is my 30-second pitch to have the conversation I want to have? I'll also share some easy ways to start a conversation a little bit later in the webinar, but having that elevator pitch is especially key if you're looking to engage with potential clients. So a great resource you can use in really planning your time blocks and optimizing your ROI is the AFP Annual Conference app. So I've got a hyperlink in here to the application, and as I said, the webinar slides are already available. So you should have, if you are attending an AFP Annual Conference, you should have got an email inviting you to download the mobile app. So you should really, really give some consideration to downloading the mobile app. It can be critical for you to optimizing your conference ROI. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend just a few moments going through some of the key features of the mobile app and how that relates to you optimizing your ROI of attending the conference. For some of you, this may seem a little basic, but hopefully I'm going to save you some time instead of you going through this yourself and figuring out how to optimize the app. But for everyone, I would just stress as much as possible that you really want to download this app. It's really, really valuable. And after you spend a few minutes, it's really easy to use, and it can really help you optimize the ROI. Just think about how much money you're spending and how much time you're taking away from the office to be at the conference, and it makes the commitment to spend 15 minutes, 20 minutes to really leverage this app. It makes it seem like nothing, and it's really, really, really valuable. So one thing, like I mentioned, you want to plan. So I just have popped up on my schedule. So for me, I'm not getting into the event until Monday, but just you'll notice I've got my time slot. The first thing I'm going to do when I get there is I'm going to meet with one of my potential clients. And then look at this, I'm going to go to the exhibit hall. So I'm going to go and roam the exhibit hall, make some of those connections I want, meet with my existing customers, do some networking, target some people, and maybe I'll also give me some more fuel to reprioritize my goals. So you want to get that schedule really, really nailed down. And one of the cool things about this app is you can really go through that with your schedule. So your schedule, you can click on your schedule, and it helps you get your things mapped out. So let's say you're getting in on Sunday. So if you're getting in on Sunday a day earlier, let's say you're getting there in the middle of the afternoon. Oh, you definitely want to go to the reception. So you say, hey, I want to go there. I want to get that on my schedule. Boom, hit that, and it's automatically added to your schedule. And then the other cool thing is you can actually download your schedule as well. So it'll take the schedule you make in this, and you can download it. So it's pretty cool how this all syncs up. The technology is pretty slick. CrowdCompass does a great job with these event applications. So that's a great tool for your scheduling. Also, there's a great information here, speakers by name. So if you know there's speakers, so one of the things the app helps you do is target the connections you want to make, so the contacts, so you can actually send messages to people via the app. So this can be a way to connect. So for me, I'll look down and I say, what I did is I just went down the speaker list, and I'm like, so one of the people, I'm like, ooh, Margaret, she's a good speaker. Right? I know she's a great speaker. So I'd say, I want to connect with her via the app. So I would go ahead, they would send a request to her, and she would hopefully be one of my connections. They have to accept, but hopefully she would be one of my connections. So the other thing that you can do also is via the schedule, you can really map out the sessions that you want to attend. So it shows everything that's going on for each session. So if you wanted to go to the 120 years in Treasury Management, you just go ahead and add that. So the app is really beneficial in helping you set your schedule and also make those connections that you want to make. So what about the speakers? Well, you're thinking, well, I'm not there for the speakers. I want to network with my peers. So a really cool thing that they have is in the app is they actually are providing an attendee list, which is fantastic. So you can go ahead, it's a PDF file, but what you can do is you can go ahead and download that attendee list, and then you can go ahead and convert that PDF file into an Excel file, and then you can really do some damage in there in terms of targeting the folks that you want to meet, and also maybe looking them up on LinkedIn, getting those LinkedIn connections. If anyone has any questions how to convert that file, or please reach out to me after the webinar. Happy to have those conversations with you as well. Also mention that you'll want to really spend some time probably in the exhibitor area. So your vendors, you can search them by name and by category. And it's also cool that there's a map on here. So it kind of helps you find your way around the exhibit hall floor, which can be a little bit intimidating. So the first time I went to the AFP conference, I'm going to confess, I was a little bit intimidated because I had never been to a huge conference before. So it's a great way for you to find your way around. I'll mention a little bit later. There's some safe areas where if you're kind of lost, you're looking for something to do, you're looking to connect. Well, AFP has a lot of great places in there, what I call like the safe zone. So the Conference Connect area, the AFP Membership Center, the LinkedIn Corner, the regional booth. So those are all places where you'll find friendly faces, and you'll find AFP professionals if you have any questions about the conference. So the map is definitely a cool thing to do. And it's also got a section here where you can look at all the attendee events. So again, there's just great resources in this app for you to plan your time, make those connections, figure out how to make those connections, plan your time, boom, get that schedule, and then download it. One thing that I failed to mention was you'll want to really build out your profile. So don't just sign yourself up. Make sure that you really build out your profile. If you want to get the most out of this app, you'll want to set your profile to private. You could put your bio in there so you can get some really cool organic networking going on that way. And there's also other features in the app that I'm not going to go over, but they can be tremendously helpful as well in terms of your messaging. So there's notes, bookmarks. So again, I just think it can be a tremendously useful application for you. So I definitely encourage you to take a look. I'm going to go ahead and skip through a few of these slides. These are just screenshots for people to leverage after the webinar if they're not connected online. Maybe you're on the plane, have some time on the way to the conference. So I'm going to give you some more practical advice here in terms of how to navigate the conference and maximize your ROI. So just a couple of slides. When in doubt, feeling alone, feeling lonely, here are some easy ways to start conversations and make sure you're getting value from your time. It's pretty easy to approach a practitioner attendee with a bunch of ribbons under his or her name badge. So they're just easy conversation starters. So I'll go ahead and show you what that looks like real quick. So underneath the badge is the ribbons. So speaker ribbon, easy conversation starter. Have you? Oh, I see you're a speaker. What are you speaking on? Have you spoken yet? That's a great one. Corporate attendee, if you're a Treasury practitioner, there's a fellow Treasury practitioner. What do you do at 360 Thought Leadership Consulting? Oh, I do that. So in CTP, you could be a fellow CTP. Some of the ribbons are about board members, AFP board members. They love to speak to the attendees. So it's a great way. And on the badge level, AFP will have badges that say, ask me questions or questions. So someone who works at AFP, ask them to help you meet people. They know a lot of people. So they're always happy to help you meet people, or if you get lost, the convention center can be overwhelming. They're just a great resource. And I mentioned go to the AFP booth, AFP areas on the exhibit hall floor, always a safe place. It's always can be good to walk the exhibit hall floor and visit a booth of a current vendor or potential vendor. You have to be a little bit careful. Some of the vendors are pretty aggressive in engaging you in conversation. You want to be polite, but you have to have a purpose to what you're doing. So usually if you're walking the hall with a purpose, and if you see where you want to go, you have a little velocity, that'll help you avoid those conversations. But you can always go there and have a conversation if your company's looking to do something down the line. And it also helps you stay on top of your game, especially in terms of the technology. So some of the technology vendors, I always like to visit them and see what's the latest and greatest out there. And as I mentioned, always look like you know where you are and why you're there. It just conveys confidence there. So that's always a good thing. So some more general tips that I have. It's always good to hang out with people that are outgoing. So if you're not an outgoing person by nature, it's always good to hang out with someone that is outgoing. They make you feel more comfortable. They can be a resource to help you make connections. So it's just good to hang out with those people, and those people seem to know a lot of people, so it's easy for you to make some ancillary connections that way. And also, I found it's just more fun to hang out with people that are a little bit outgoing. Here's a tip I wish I would have known when I first started attending the AFP annual conference. It's great to attend every meal and have a purpose for where you sit each meal and meet new people at each meal. So when I first went, I was a little bit hesitant, and I always try and sat with people that I knew. And then by my third or fourth conference, my goal was to sit with no one that I knew at a table. So I would just go and sit down, make sure the chair's not taken, and just start those conversations. If you think about how many meals are offered, it's just a great way to really, really deliver that ROI. You'll want to attend off-site vendor events that matter to you. So if you're a corporate practitioner, you're probably getting invited to many events. So you want to make sure that you go to the event that matters most to you. What is it that's going to offer you ROI on your job? You obviously want to have fun as well, but you want to really maximize the ROI of your time in terms of the business part of it. Also, I would note, if you're not invited to a vendor event, get yourself invited. Of course, I don't want vendors to go to competitors' events and try and get in there and things like that. But if you're a corporate practitioner, people are always pretty happy to have you at your events. So if people you meet are going to a certain event, you might just go over to their booth and engage conversation. Hey, you're having an event tonight. Some of my friends are going there. Is that something that I can attend? And they're going to be happy to attend. Might seem forward, but you have to kind of leave that at the door sometimes. So in order to maximize your ROI, I call it being charmingly aggressive. So everyone, you need to learn how to be charmingly aggressive. You need to hold yourself accountable for your goals. You want to share your goals with those you're networking with. Always helps. And you can create competitions with your peers to make it fun. So my goal is 50 LinkedIn connections. I bet I can get 60. And then leave your ego at home. I'll say this over and over. The more you can leave your ego at home, the better. So if you approach someone or you approach a large group and you don't get the reaction you're liking, just move on. I also make a game out of it. People that give me strange looks, I'm usually pretty good at turning that into a smile or a laugh after about 20 seconds. I give myself a goal. If they're still not interested in having a conversation, I'll just walk away and move on. So it's fun. So the more fun you have, the better. So now let's just take a quick look back at our learning objectives. So define your ROI for attending a conference. Again, you want to go back and say, why am I attending the conference? What are the 3 to 5 reasons? How do I frame my ROI dimensions around that? How do I get those? And then meet the people you want to meet. There's several ways to do that. As I mentioned, you can go to the AFP mobile app. You can download that attendee PDF file. Look at them. Look them up on LinkedIn. See if you can connect with them on LinkedIn. You can, if they're a speaker, you can find out what session they're speaking on. Go to that session. If you want to connect with Treasury professionals about AP automation, go to an AP automation session. There will be other people that are facing those same challenges with you. Start a conversation before the session. I'm just curious, why are you attending the session? I'm looking at AP automation. What do you guys do at your company about that? Especially if you're a practitioner and they have that practitioner as well. Talked about how to avoid time-wasting conversations. Just have some specific ways to politely exit a conversation. Again, one of the best ways is nonverbal cues, not too obnoxious, but always end the conversation on a positive note. Again, offering that business card is always a great way to leave a good impression on someone. And then the more fun you have, the more your conference ROI is going to go up. And now kind of the finale, my closing thoughts, my top 10 tips for networking. Specifically, develop a detailed strategy with your goals and metrics. Again, leave your ego at home and have fun with it. You want to meticulously plan all your time blocks. You want to set specific goals and actively reprioritize the goals. You want to find outgoing networking buddies. You want to learn the art of subtle badge review, so you want to find those common interests. Again, some of the things, just the ribbons on there are key. The speaker ribbon, the CTP ribbon, and on the badge, it's an AFP badge, AFP person. Awesome ways to start those conversations and get those folks to help you out. Be confident and relaxed. Attend every meal. Set networking meetings before the event, and own your time, and make sure you keep that top of mind. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and end the webinar here today. I want to thank you all for your time. I hope to see you all in Orlando. I encourage you to reach out to me if you have any questions around the topic of networking at a conference or anything related to LinkedIn or professional development. So again, thank you very much, everyone, for your time today, and make the rest of your day great.